Now you have a fairly good idea about the project and how it affects your property. I'm going to explain to you about the right-of-way acquisition process. By the way, did you receive a letter from ODOT informing you the property would be involved in the project?
I think, is this it, Paul?
Yes. And was there a booklet included with the letter?
Yes. This one?
Yes. That booklet explains how ODOT acquires right-of-way and your rights regarding the property acquisition.
Okay.
I'm going to go over the important parts and how they relate to the property. I'm going to give you another brochure with my card in the back. I'm here basically for three reasons. The first reason is to explain the project to you and how it affects your property. The second is to try to reach an agreement with you to obtain the property rights that ODOT needs for the project. And my third reason for being here is to help you understand the right-of-way acquisition process, even if we don't end up agreeing.
Even if we don't like what you offer us?
Right. I'm going to help you understand the right-of-way acquisition process, even if we end up agreeing to disagree. When you're paid for the channel easement, ODOT will take possession of the channel easement. The temporary construction easement will begin when the project starts and end when the project's finished. ODOT expects the project to take approximately 8 months. Now, payment to you can be made in two different ways. First of all, if we agree, we'll have a closing to pay for the property rights. If we disagree, ODOT will deposit the offer money in the courthouse where you can withdraw the funds subject to the rights of others, and then you can appeal if you feel that the amount is wrong. But ODOT will go ahead and be able to build the bridge. ODOT is going to pay all the incidental costs of buying the property from you. For example, the recording costs.
Okay.
So are we understanding that ODOT's going to pay for all of the closing costs, and that includes the preparation of the deed?
Correct. ODOT's going to pay for all of that.
Okay.
You will not have to pay for any of these costs. A qualified appraiser analyzed the values of real estate in this area, and then he compared it to your property and the areas that ODOT needs for the project. The appraiser came up with what he calls a fair market value. In other words, a value based on the per acre value of your property applied to the areas that ODOT needs for this project. The report that was prepared by the appraiser was checked by a review appraiser to make sure it was correct. And what I'm going to do is offer you the full amount of the fair market value in writing on my first offer, and then I'm going to give you a copy of that report.
So just how much is ODOT going to offer for all this? We are going to be inconvenienced by the closing of the bridge.
I'm offering you $300 for the property rights that ODOT needs to build this project. Here's the offer letter, and here's the valuation report.
That sounds kind of low to me. What about the fence and the trees?
Okay, let's go over the valuation report. The appraiser determined that your property unit value is $7,600 an acre. He determined this unit value by comparing your property to 3 property sales that are attached to the back of the report. They're all close in size to your property. They sold within the last year or so, and they have the same zoning as your property. You said earlier that you eventually intend to sell this property. Who do you think your buyer might be for this property?
Probably someone that would build a house and wants more than a couple of acres of land.
Okay, that is the buyer that bought these properties. And that's also the reason why the value analysis paid only $10 for the fence and nothing for the trees. One of the first things a buyer of this property would do, who is going to build a residential structure on it, would be, they would need to do is remove the fence and remove the trees. They don't contribute to the best use of the property.
I also see here, the appraiser only paid 50% for the channel easement and 10% for the temporary construction easement. Why is that?
Okay, well, let's take a look at the channel easement instrument. And then it says, the owner retains the right to use said lands for any and all other purposes, provided that such use does not interfere nor impair with the exercise of the easement herein granted. In other words, you still own the property, you're the fee owner, you can do whatever you want to with the property as long as it doesn't interfere with a roadside ditch. So ODOT basically bought 50% of the property rights, and you're retaining 50% of the property rights. And that's why we're paying 50% of the property rights. As far as the temporary construction easement goes, that 10% basically is ground rent, represents ground rent. Now, this adds up to $90.
So I see that.
The reviewer added $210 to bring the offer up to ODOT's minimum of $300. Our minimum
Well,
offer.
what about our inconvenience for the road being closed?
ODOT's not required to pay for circuitous inconvenience.
Well, what if I bring that matter up in court?
You will still not be able to be paid for a temporary closing of a road.
Oh.
You have any more questions?
No, not really. I think the closing of the road's the thing that affects us the most.
Okay, well, if you don't have any more questions, can we conclude this agreement?
Well, are you going to make us another offer?
No, I'm not. I'm offering the full amount of the report on my first offer.
Well, I guess we might as well sign. What do you think?